What is going on, everybody? It is that best time of the year feeling where football is almost back. With fantasy drafts most likely starting this or next weekend, I wanted to start pumping out some fantasy news because one thing that I really enjoy is fantasy football. So in today's video, we're going to look at 5 players that I'm really wanting to get every piece of share I can of them, and 5 players I'm trying to avoid entirely. But before we get too much further, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that little bell notification to get notified to all my videos here, and share this with any sports fans you know. I want to start building this community, get more people down in the comments, start having more discussions, so share that out and let's build a community together. But let's jump right into the video. A little caveat to this. These players, I'm not saying they're not talented, I'm not saying that they can't go off, but where they're being drafted, I either want to draft them early because I really believe in them, or I want to avoid them at all costs or get them at a much better value. Where they're going is too high in my opinion. But these are those 10 guys that I'm really mainly focusing on where their ADP is right now. Starting off with Drake London. Drake London and Michael Penix seem to have a very good form of chemistry at the end of last year. In the 3 games that Penix and London played together with Penix starting, it went 8 targets to 13 to 18 targets with Drake London, meaning that share is just increasing. So that relationship I think is very solid, and why I really want a piece of Drake London. This connection should start on week 1, and I don't see it slowing down unless there's injury or something to that degree. I'm willing to honestly pay up for Drake London. I like him more than some receivers going ahead of him like Brian Thompson Jr. or Malik Nabers. This is not a knock on Malik's talent. Everything out there says he should be that guy. His rookie season was phenomenal, even with subpar quarterback play. The reason that I don't really want shares of him this year is due to even worse subpar quarterback play.
That's right.
I have zero faith in Russell Wilson, and I have no idea what we're going to get out of Jackson Dart, and he's not even going to even sniff the starting role the first few weeks. While Malik's talent is undeniable, Russell's is terrible. He has not been the same player since he left Seattle. At Denver, he was awful. At Pittsburgh, he was awful. So what are we expecting him to do with a worse team than he had last year? What are we honestly expecting? Like, yeah, the Giants are going to be down. Yeah, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. But I really think that they're just going to double team Malik Nabers and say, Russ, throw it to anybody else. Throw it to anybody else. And he's not going to be able to do that. I think the Giants script is way too obvious and defenses are going to figure it out. They just need to apply a little pressure to Wilson, cover Nabers, and if they do both of those things, the Giants are going to struggle on offense. They don't have secondary weapons. I think their Giants are going to be down a lot. They have a very hard schedule. I just want nothing to do with Nabers, unfortunately. If you're in a dynasty league, obviously you're keeping him. Do not trade him. He's yours. But this year, I am going to pass on Malik and wait till next year till the Giants actually establish a decent quarterback, and then I'm going to be all in on him. Literally, that's just it. If it wasn't for Russell, I would be all in on Nabers. That's the shittiest part about this. Where his ADP is, I'd feel more comfortable drafting people like Achane, Genti, or Nico Collins. Yes, this is a homer pick, but I try to eliminate my bias because fantasy is more about winning money than having my players on my team. Nico Collins is still that player. The Texans run their offense through Nico at this point. With Joe Mixon being hurt, having question marks with Dameon Pierce and Nick Chubb, let's look at the Texans offense as a whole. Yes, you have Nico. They have a rookie in Jaden Higgins. They have Christian Kirk in the slot. They have an injured Joe Mixon. They have Dameon Pierce and Nick Chubb sharing those backfield duties. With Mixon there, it opened that run game up, which opened Nico up, and I don't see that still being a problem with both, Pierce and Chubb. I think the Texans are still going to get that ball running. Where I do have a fear, though, is the Texans using their tight ends because their new OC came from the Rams system, and he liked to use the tight ends. He was a tight end coach. He is a true #1 wide receiver. Period. He is a true #1 receiver that you have no worries. You can plug and play him every single week. Unlike CeeDee Lamb. Yes, CeeDee Lamb. He is wide receiver 3 currently, but that is way too high a price for me. Also, they added George Pickens. George Pickens is going to get his target share. This is the first time in Dallas I really feel like they have a 1-2 punch in a really long time, and that's going to eat into CeeDee's production. And from some of the footage in training camp, it looks like Dak and Pickens have developed some kind of chemistry, and it could, again, eat into CeeDee's targets. Dak's health is also a major concern for me because if they lose Dak, I don't even know who their backup is. Hold on. So behind Dak is Joe Milton III. I do not have faith that he's going to be able to feed CeeDee if Dak does go down. Where CeeDee is being taken, I'd be more comfortable taking somebody like Amon-Ra St. Brown or even Christian McCaffrey. Next up, we have Bucky Irving. I love Bucky Irving this year. He looks like he is poised to be RB1 in Tampa in an offense that has a ton of weapons. Tampa Bay's receiving core is going to be hard to decipher. There's literally 4 guys it could potentially be. But if you want to have a piece of that Buccaneers offense, Irving is the guy to get. He is going to be RB1. They don't like Rachaad White. They are trying to phase him out and get Irving in. Because of Baker's ability to spread the ball around to people, you know, like Evans, Godwin, and all of his other receivers, this opens the run game for Irving. And especially coming from an Oregon system, which was a fast, high-paced system, I don't see Irving taking a step back from last year. I only see him improving upon it. So I want as many shares of Bucky Irving as I can get. I'm willing to pay up to get him. I like him better than Josh Jacobs, Brock Bowers, and especially Jonathan Taylor. The reason Jonathan Taylor is here stems exactly from his quarterback play. Due to the fact the Colts are having a QB competition between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, it leaves Jonathan Taylor in this weird no man's land. If it's Daniel Jones who gets that starting QB job, give me all the shares of Jonathan Taylor. I want every single piece I can of him because they're going to run the ball through JT. Daniel Jones can't run. We've seen what happens when he tries to run. He is not going to steal those touches away from JT, so his value is going to remain. If Anthony Richardson is his quarterback, however, that value completely plummets. Anthony is going to take those rushing attempts from him. He's going to take those goal line touchdowns away from him. His value is completely contingent upon who wins this quarterback battle. That is not a situation I want for a running back that I'm probably taking in the second round at that point. Is he getting vultured? And Anthony Richardson is going to vulture JT's touches. Now, the Colts are giving both quarterbacks a chance in the preseason to prove who, you know, can get the job done. So if you have a later draft, like I have a draft Labor Day weekend, that decision will probably be made by then. I'll have more of an idea of where Jonathan Taylor stands. If you're drafting this weekend or next weekend, you may be taking a total shot in the dark at that point. And with the situation where it is, I don't want to pay up for that, especially in the second round. There are so many other guys you can get. Like I mentioned, Bucky Irving, way better value, I think, than JT in this spot. Again, too much of a risk, not enough of a reward for me to really go in on Jonathan Taylor at this point. But again, that could change. Kenneth Walker III. Kenneth Walker is the only player I want from Seattle this season. I don't trust Sam Darnold. JSN, not that I don't like JSN, but I don't know how he's going to operate as a wide receiver 1. And Cooper Kupp is not going to be that Triple Crown winner. Again, I think he's going to get some production, but he's not going to be the same player as he was in LA. But the reason I'm willing to make an exception for Walker is one person. Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak is now the offensive coordinator in Seattle, and he is the son of Gary Kubiak. And if you know anything about the Kubiaks, they like to run the football. They're the ones who made Arian Foster. I like what the Kubiaks do when it comes to running backs, and I think Kenneth is going to be that special kind of player this year. He could be a top 5 running back. He is somebody who can catch, he can run, he can do everything they need him to do, and it's a perfect fit for Kubiak. The only hesitation I have, again, is with Darnold and the receivers. Are they going to be up in enough games? But again, I don't see that really being a problem, only because Walker can catch the ball and still be a factor in every single game. He has had some injury concerns coming into camp, but he has reported and has been practicing this week. So yeah, with his injury concern, I am going to try to get Charbonnet as soon as like a reasonable time to get him, maybe draft him a little earlier because I do want that handcuff. That is one handcuff I definitely want to get. But either way, I'm not that scared of Kenneth Walker, and I think he could literally be a league winner this year. Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson was a great fantasy player a couple years ago, and then last year with Aaron Rodgers, situation went down a little bit, especially with Devontae there. This year, I think it could be even worse for him. Justin Fields is now his quarterback, and again, Fields and Wilson have the same issue. At Pittsburgh, neither of them looked like world beaters to the point where I really can put a lot of faith in them to carry some of these players into fantasy. Not to mention they have a lot of holes to fill. They have a new head coach. They have Breece Hall, who possibly could be gone. He even tweeted something today that seemed like a little like, are they going to cut you? So the Jets just seem like a hot mess. They're going to find their identity throughout this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a top 5 pick in this year's draft. And I just don't see them really getting the ball to Wilson. Wilson, especially with where he's going, I think in the like second round, there's guys you can get for better value and in much more stable situations. Again, this is not a talent issue on Garrett. And if he were to fall like a round or two, yeah, maybe I would, take a gamble on that value. But where he stands now, it's way too high for such a big question mark in New York. Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't get enough of this kid. I hate to admit it, I'm falling for the training camp hype. There are videos and this kid looks great. It looks like he put on weight compared to last year, and it looks like he's going to be a much more dominant receiver this year. Again, it's training camp and I know I'm high on it, but I just don't see this kid failing. Yes, Kyler Murray is there, and Kyler Murray is always going to be a question mark. He's injury prone because he's smaller. His talent has been called into question, but I can put that aside because I really think Marvin Harrison has that much talent to overcome Kyler Murray's play. Again, Kyler Murray isn't on the same level as like a Russell Wilson or somebody where it's like, dude, I don't want anything to do with you. I view him more as like a Trevor Lawrence, where you're going to get some great games from him. You're going to get some games where you're like, what the hell is that? But I think Marvin can overcome that. I think they can feed Marvin. I don't think that's going to really be an issue, especially if somebody like James Conner stays healthy and they have that running back room very healthy going to the season and staying healthy. I think that'll open up the passing game and get Marvin his touches. He's going late second, early third. I would be comfortable taking him in the mid second round. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be willing to take him even in the early second round, depending on where I'm picking. This would be a situation where I just want to get my guy. And ultimately in fantasy, that's what you want. You want to get your guys you believe in. You just want to make sure you get the best value and build the best team. With Marvin, I'm not really afraid of the guys that I could be potentially losing out on around where he's getting drafted. So I'm willing to go a little bit higher for Marvin Harrison. So I want every piece of him I can get. And last but not least, Travis Kelce. Travis is one of the greatest tight ends of all time. It's undeniable. The only person ahead of him is Rob Gronkowski because he can block. That's a discussion for a different day. But my point is he is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. He has been an integral part of the Chiefs team since he stepped foot on that field professionally. Unfortunately for him though, Canton is closer than his rookie season. He is aging, and this could potentially be his last year. It's his last year under contract. The Chiefs haven't revised it. They haven't extended him, and it potentially could be his last year. And it appears that Travis is already, kind of checking out. It looks like he's planning for his life after football, which whoever told this man he can act needs to be fired immediately. I'm sorry. Do us all a favor and stop acting. All of that to say that it doesn't feel like football is his number one priority right now. And again, I don't blame him. You're dating one of the most famous people in the world in Taylor Swift. You have a bunch of opportunities coming for you whenever you do decide to hang up the cleats. But that's the main reason I don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. If you look at last season, he had a couple good games. Outside of that, there were times he wasn't even getting 2 fantasy points. He is not the same player, and the Chiefs are not the same team. When it was just him and Tyreek, yeah, you could feed both of them, no problem. Now you've got Rashid Rice, suspension pending. You got Xavier Worthy, you got Hollywood Brown, even Pacheco gets the ball a lot. They have more mouths to feed, and again, an aging Travis Kelce is not going to be your number one target. It's even gotten to the point where I feel like Patrick isn't looking at Travis the same way that he used to in the past. It doesn't feel like he's that number one option anymore. And Andy Reid has famously known when to let players go and, when they've passed their prime. And I think that has to do with the fact that they're not re-signing Kelce. I think he's ready for retirement. This is going to be his swan song farewell to the NFL. I am predicting a phenomenal farewell season for Travis Kelce, but not many fantasy points. And that's just my list right now, guys, so far. A lot of this can change depending on how the preseason plays out. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that little bell notification to get notified to all my videos here. If you haven't been able to tell, I've been uploading a lot more as the season has been getting closer and more news is breaking. So if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Share this with all your friends, sports fans or not. Let's build a community. And until the next one, have a good one.